Welcome to part 7 of this series, the Roman Empire and the Holy Land. We're going to do a short video on the founding of Rome. The picture we're looking at here is just it says a model. So a model of Rome in the archaic period with a view of the capital and the forum. So just a recreation of what the early civilization may have looked like. Let's go to a map of the country we know as Italy. And now I can see all these surrounding tribes. So we have the Romans and we have the capital Rome. And then these tribes surrounding the Romans, we have the Umbrians, the Samnites, the Messapians, and the Apulians, and the Etruscans. We're not going to learn about all these different tribes, but just that we get the idea that in order for Rome to grow, it's going to have to absorb or conquer these different tribes. We did speak about the Etruscans in the previous video, because we're looking at Tyrus, and we were speaking about the mysterious sea peoples and the Tersonoi, that there could be a connection with Tyrus and the Etruscans. But some scholars describe the Etruscans as a Turkic or a Turanian people. So is that just Tyrus, or are there other elements as well? Because we saw some scholars speaking about the Hittites with the Etruscans. And it was interesting that we had that Persian tradition that there was a union between Tyrus and Canaan according to that tradition. So I was wondering if that could maybe explain this, that there could be a connection between Tyrus and Heth, son of Canaan. So the Hittites. But there's also a connection with the Trojans, because there's a founding myth for Rome which has to do with the Trojans we're going to speak about. Okay, so if we look at the civilization of the Etruscans, so here we have a map of the Etruscan civilization. So the first color here is speaking about the main part of the Etruscan civilization known as Etruria. And then it shows the other color of the expansion. So you can see that the Etruscans were ruling over the Latins, or the land of the Latins. So the Etruscans were ruling over the Romans. So there was a monarchy ruling over Rome. And then eventually the Romans would throw off the monarchy and be founded as a republic. So it becomes a republic. But let's speak about the founding myth of the Trojans. So if we go to the Trojan royal family, we're going to speak about the legends of the Trojan War and speak about some of these characters quickly. So we have Priam, the king of Troy, and his two sons, the two princes of Troy, Hector and Paris. And Hector dies trying to protect Troy. So the famous battle between Hector and Achilles defeats Hector. And his brother Paris is the main instigator of the saga, because we're told that he abducts Helen of Sparta and brings her back to Troy. So she becomes known as Helen of Troy, and the quote that, the face that launched 1,000 ships, because the Greeks unite, and we're told, according to the legend, they want to reclaim Helen. But the Greeks struggle to defeat the Trojans in war. So then we're told about the myth of the Trojan horse, that the Greeks used trickery with the Trojan horse to defeat the Trojans, and Troy falls. Now on this side of the family tree we've got Aeneas, so he's also a prince of Troy, but in a different branch. And then in brackets it says the future Troy, because the legend is that he's going to found the new Troy, which would be Rome according to the legend. Let me just quickly tell you some of the brief details of Aeneas, just a very brief account of what happens to Aeneas after the fall of Troy. So after the fall of Troy, we're told that he comes to Sicily, and then he comes to Carthage, so the region we know in Tunisia. And he meets Dido, the queen of Carthage. So according to the legend, Dido is the founder of the city of Carthage, and they have a year-long affair. And there's supposed to be a marriage, and Dido is hoping they're going to rule this land together. But then Aeneas is reminded of his purpose. It's going to be to found the new Troy. So he leaves in secret, but then Dido is crushed by the news. And then the legend is that she utters a curse that's going to forever put enmity between the Romans and the Carthaginians, which would lead to the famous wars between Rome and Carthage, or the Punic Wars. So Aeneas goes back to Sicily, and then he comes to the land of the Latins. Let's have a look at a map. So Rome's founded in the land of the Latins, or Latium. So according to the legend, his descendants are going to be the ones that found the civilization of Rome. So that's the the legend of the founding of Rome by the Trojans. And then, we do have the Etruscans in this region, and the Trojans could be, connected to the Etruscans. So we have to, some scholars might say that shows that there could be truth to, maybe there might be some truth to the claims that the Trojans were in this region, and that's what we were trying to speak about, that there could be a foreign influence on this Roman civilization or founding, and that could be with the Trojans. So just to have a brief video for the founding of Rome, and then we're thinking about, so the Romans as the Kittim, but then we do have the Etruscans, a bit of a mysterious people. So we're thinking Tyrus, we're thinking the Hittites, but we're also thinking the Trojans. And then as Rome is going to expand, it has to conquer the region of Latium first, and then there'll be wars against these other tribes like the Etruscans and the other surrounding tribes. So what we're going to do in the next video is just try to get an idea about the surrounding area and think about, as this Roman Empire is going to start expanding. So I'd like to start thinking about, I want to speak about the importance of Spain in the next video. So thank you for watching this one, and we'll see you in the next video.